So, Cool Character Designs Gurren Lagann is sort of starting off something that'll be going through the month of November, which is basically bucket list videos. These are videos that I have had planned for a super long time that I just never got around to doing. Some of them are stuff that I wrote, like I've written about in the past, but not very well, or that I want to update the information on now. Some of them are just stuff I had planned for a long time. Only a couple of videos that aren't like that are going to be coming out in November. A lot of them have to do with my favorite shows. So you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff that's in my top 10 getting brought up again. Partly because one of the problems I've been facing as an anime YouTuber is that it's hard for me to go back and rewatch a lot of my old favorites and to bring them up again, because a lot of them aren't really relevant anymore. They're not shows that anyone's really talking about. They're from the late 2000s and stuff like that, and I'd have to go back and like binge watch a bunch of stuff to really figure out which ones I want to talk about and stuff like that. So I've kind of been clinging to the shows that I've already rewatched in the time since I started making videos as a way to get as many scripts out of those as I can, and then have eventually have time to go back and watch the older stuff, because there hasn't been enough new stuff that's been like favorites of mine. Since Shirobako, there hasn't been any one big new show that like blew me away in the way that Shirobako did. So what I decided to do, alright, well, we'll get into the story behind this, because this video is a part of multiple different stories, really. Firstly, this comes from a very old blog post I made called, I think it was called something like shows with cool character designs, or like top 10 character designs in anime or something like that. And it was just me taking a bunch of shows that I really liked the designs of, explaining in very brief what was so great about them. One of them was Gurren Lagann. That was like my pick for the best character designs, and I talked about the whole, blue and red thing between Yoko, Simon, and Kamina, how they all kind of have this color scheme that flows into each other, and the similarities in their outfits, and that was my main point back then. And I've always wanted to revive that and talk more about character designs. So last year in December, I had come up with this huge plan, and I've talked about this in some of the other write-ups for previous videos this year, where I had this huge plan to have 8 different video series that would be running all year, which would each be bi-monthly. So basically, there'd be 4 videos a month, and every other month they'd rotate. So like we'd have cool character designs, and that might come out the first Saturday of January, and then it'll also come out the first Saturday of March, and then also the first Saturday of May. So every other month it would be playing, and there'd be 8 shows that rotate in that order. And so I had planned out what all those shows were going to be and what episodes there would be of those shows. Now, half those shows I completely axed. Some of them I just changed. Some of them I took the ideas that I'd had and made them videos without making them a part of a series. But Cool Character Designs is one of the only ones that survived as a series, where I made the Shimoneta video, and that was the one I had the most shows planned for. I probably have like 8 or 9 that I wanted to cover. But the biggest problem with it is that they were mostly Gainax shows. Like it basically just became like every show I wanted to talk about the designs as a Gainax show. Which I guess isn't too big of an issue or anything, but Gurren Lagann was the most important one, and I knew it was going to be the most detailed, the most it was going to be a longer video compared to the others. But once I finally wrote it, it ended up not being as big of a hassle as I thought it was going to be. But the reason it never came out, like the reason I kept putting it off, is because I kept thinking that it was going to be too big, or that I was going to have to really study the designs. But then what I realized is that I know the designs really well, and I didn't really need to do any of that. So yeah, that original series of 8 different shows, that was all canceled. Moving into the Asterisk, well, this was actually after Asterisk War Sucks that I planned that, but it was like, yeah, it just didn't work out. Like, it wasn't something that I ended up doing, all those writing for. I probably wrote like 4 or 5 videos at the time, and all of those have come out now. So then, at the start of October, then me and Devu came up with this plan where we were going to have a novel's worth of videos come out over the course of November, because November is National Novel Writing Month, and I always try to like write a novel in some form, which the way that NaNoWriMo describes a novel is that it's 50,000 words. I mean, obviously a real novel is nonfiction, but I just like the idea of writing 50,000 words worth of anything in the course of November. But I decided that I would get a head start on it because Devu wanted to imitate this thing I did in October of 2014 where I made a video every single day. And he said, I'd love to do some kind of huge challenge like that. And I said, well, how about a video every other day so that we can make sure that each one of them is at least somewhat, well realized. And so I was like, I'll write 15 videos and you can publish one every other day. Now I decided to start writing early, so that they'd all be ready for him. So I started that project at the start, I want to say October 12th or something like that. And I was holding myself to a NaNoWriMo schedule, which is 1,667 words every day. If you write that much every day for a month, you'll hit 50K. And for 6 straight days, I wrote a video every day. It wasn't necessarily that equivalent length, but I got out 6 videos. They were all bucket list videos. They're all ones I'm really happy with. They're all stuff I wanted to do forever. And just putting the pressure on myself to just fucking write them made them finally get done. This Gurren Lagann one's been in the works, like I said, for a long time. But when I finally sat down, I had 45 minutes before the day was over, and I tried to hit the word count before the day was over. I didn't, but I finished the post within the next few hours, and just finally going through with it and just writing the stuff out and coming up with that format of the 6 different headings of why Gurren Lagann's designs were great. All of that made it finally get written, so I'm really happy that it's finally out. And the same kind of story will be true of the next videos coming out throughout all of November, but each one will have a little bit more of their own backstory to them. Gurren Lagann's the only one that was actually something I wrote about 5 or 6 years ago, and then it's sort of been way expanded on and readapted to fit my modern writing style. And it's always really gratifying for me when I can take something some point I made when I was younger that I still like, and then really expand on it because I'm so much better of a writer and thinker now than I was back then, and I can bring those ideas to life and get them to an actual audience as opposed to languishing on my old anime blog. So yeah, that's the history behind this one. See you in the next one.